Shalom, shalom, greetings, brothers and sisters. Back here with another video is your brother Leon the Servant, right? And on this Yah blessed day, we will be talking about Thanksgiving. I know a lot of us know parts and pieces of the history, but most of us were all told lies about Thanksgiving, right? About just a happy reunion between the Pilgrims and Native Americans, and it's a day that they celebrated, right? So many years ago, and we just keep on the tradition. Well, as the story is told, and as some may have thought, that was a lie, or partially a lie. There's a half truth, which can be just as lethal as a lie. So let's unveil the true nature of Thanksgiving. All right. So Thanksgiving, according to the Britannica.com, Thanksgiving is an annual national holiday in the United States and Canada celebrating the harvest and other blessings of the past year. Americans generally believe that their Thanksgiving is modeled on a 1621 harvest feast shared by the English colonist Pilgrims of the Plymouth and the Wampum people. The American holiday is particularly rich in legend and symbolism, and the traditional fare of Thanksgiving meal typically includes turkey, bread stuffing, potatoes, cranberries, and pumpkin pie. Right? So I want to highlight a few things that we're going to be diving much deeper into. Right? So, first of all, it says it itself in Britannica that the holiday is particularly rich in legend and symbolism. Okay? Legend and symbolism. And that this is to celebrate the harvest and other blessings of the past year. I want those things to be highlighted. I want those things to be brought to the center of your attention. Right? Let's go on to my next source, which is the ThriveGlobal.com. It says, why is Thanksgiving important? Now, it reads this. Thanksgiving is important because it is a positive and secular holiday where we celebrate gratitude. All right, I want to pause right there. So, well, Britannica said a harvest and other blessings. That's what we're celebrating. And then this second source says that it is a positive secular holiday. Now, I'm going to take the liberty of researching secular. And I bring it up for you guys. Secular, denoting attitudes, activities, or other things that has no religious or spiritual basis, right? Or not subject to or bound by religious rule, not belonging to or living in a Masonic or other order, right? So, if this is a secular holiday, right, well, there is no God, right? Who are we receiving these blessings from? That's the question at hand. There's no religious order. This is a secular holiday. Then how does this really work? Are we praising ourselves? Are we praising spirits of unknown origin? Who are we truly giving thanks to on this day? Just reading a few lines, I'm already questioning what's our motive here. Who are we giving thanks to? Oh, we're thanking each other. We're thinking this is a time to show our gratitude. All right. So let's get into the history, right? Because they say that this is all orchestrated and themed after the 1621 Pilgrim and Native American people joined together, right? Well, I'm assuming something really great happened around that time to make us want to celebrate it and to fellowship, right? Well, let's look at it. Let's go to my third source real quick. And let's read, right? Because reading is fundamental. As kids, many of us probably learned a sanitized version of the first Thanksgiving story. But it wasn't all peace, love, and pass the gravy. While it's true that the settlers of Plymouth and their allies from the Wampum tribe gathered in 1621 for an epic 3-day feast to celebrate their settlers' first successful harvest that's far from the end of the tale. In kindergarten and beyond, we learned that English religious exiles began establishing civilizations in the New World, winning over the local tribes with overturns of friendship, who then taught them how to grow crops to sustain their bargaining society from the day forward. This real story is a lot more complicated and a lot less kid friendly, right? So, in a whole, we were told, hey, these settlers came over here and they started, bumping elbows and shoulders with these native people, and they learned how to farm and help propagate their bargaining society, right? But the truth is a little bit more complicated than that. Let's read deeper, right? It says a lot of bloodshed took place both before and after the first feast. Wait, but we're having a festival. Aren't we all supposed to be buddy buddy? Wow. Okay. Well, maybe not. Let's keep reading on. All right. So, a Wampanoag leader named Messiat first negotiated a treaty between the Plymouth settlers and the Wampanoag tribe in 1620, including an agreement that no one from either group will harm anyone from the other. Sounds pretty cool. They also agreed to leave their weapons at home when trading to further ensure peaceful commerce. For about 10 years, Messiah and the Pilgrims remained allies, trading English goods for wampum land, access to natural resources, and other assets. But tensions began to rise after Messiah passed away in 1661 and his son Wamsuta took over. In the years between 1630 and 1642 alone, about 25,000 European colonizers arrived, while a devastating plague cut the native population by more than half. Winston himself died mysteriously in 1662 while visiting the Puritans to discuss gathering tensions between the two groups. Right? His successor, Miat Comment, only fanned the flames. Right? So, for those who was following along, small recap is that the tribe created a peace treaty, right? And after this peace treaty, right, from 1630 to 1642, right, this whole feast and harvest took place in 1621, right? So this is roughly 10 to 20 years afterwards, right? About 25,000 Europeans came to America. That's what we call this place, right? And during this time period, so this is after this feast, this is after Thanksgiving, right? The Native American population was cut more than half. It's cut down by more than half. The word genocide didn't even exist during this time period. So what was happening to these people was literally unexplainable by words, right? Half of their population, more than half actually, was destroyed. But this is a day that we celebrate them coming together. It seems that our eyes is very ignorant in looking at the whole story. We like to cherry pick and say, hey, this nice event, let's follow a model after this. But the whole truth of the situation is quite terrifying. Let's read on. Let's see. We will pick up at in 1675, 3 natives were executed after murdering a man who had served as a translator to the settlers, which only further inflamed distrust between the two groups. Right? So it's only getting worse. So before this, right, when the natives were fighting the settlers that came, right, much war happening. After the feast, much war followed afterwards. But we still try to idolize this one crystal moment that happened during Thanksgiving, right? Which itself seems even weirder on the food that's supposed, or the food that it goes with the holiday, and also its symbolic meaning. Right now, for the for Thanksgiving, right? Let's look at the Thanksgiving typical meal, and later this meal is symbolic of the Native American body. And we have the turkey as the body, we have the stuffing, potatoes, and cranberry. Right? The stuffing potatoes symbolizing the insides, the cranberry sauce symbolizing the blood. The pumpkin pie, right? Symbolizing children, right? So during this whole time, right, during the fights of the Native Americans and the early settlers, there was things called scalping that took place, right? And you know that's when they called these Native Americans. They're savages. They cut off your head, right, with this dull blade and whatnot and what have you. But they failed to mention that these same settlers had diaries about young girls and children that they took, and young boys as well, that they took and they took advantage of, right? And they used as playthings, right? So the history is very deep, dark, and treacherous between the Native American people and the American settlers. But then we still take this moment and we take this day as a day to cherish. Well, maybe the Native Americans today don't feel that way. Well, falsely. They lament during this time of year every year for the things and the travesties that's happened onto their people. And they don't see it as, oh, happy-go-lucky, right? Maybe I'm just an outsider, but even the people who are inside it and invited and is their heritage see this as an atrocity. But we still celebrate this in ignorance, thinking that everything is all buddy-buddy, right? Well, that happened over 40, 60 years ago, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, right? But wrongs that never are corrected is still a wrong. And then to celebrate this is no better than the whole incident with Israelis and in Palestine and their celebration, right? That just happened a few months back, right? And the Palestinian people look at it as a mock ritual, right? And the Israelis look at it as something to be proud of, right? See, if that's the case, then you could show that this can only incite and invite the same emotions of hatred, right? But we take this day as a day to celebrate. Now I have um, three quick scriptures that discuss what's at hand, right? Now, forgive my pronunciation for this book, not great at pronouncing. Habakkuk 2:12, which says this: Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood and establisheth a city by iniquity. Right? We have Psalms 106, verse, let's say verse 38, where it says this: And shed innocent blood, even the blood of their sons and their daughters, whom they sacrificed unto the idols of Cain. And the land was polluted with blood. And it reads on to say, Thus were they defiled with their own works, and went at whoring with their own inventions. Therefore was the wrath of the Lord kindled against his people, and so as much that abhorred his own inheritance. Alright, let's look at Proverbs 16 and 17. And it says this: These 6 things doeth the Lord hate, yea, 6 are abomination unto him: a proud look, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood. A heart that is devilishly wicked in imaginations, feet that Be swift into running to mischief, a false witness that speaketh lies, and he that soweth discord among brethren. Right? Now, if you decide to celebrate this event of Thanksgiving, which is only a shroud, a ruse of peace, then you may continue to do so. But me and my house, we decide not to, right? To understand the historic backgrounds and implications of what this really means to the people that are involved. For I am an outsider, for the most part, of what this holiday means. Right? This holiday did not really mean peace. And if it did, it was only temporary. Right? And people were like, well, I turn in and I don't take it that way. I think of peace and gratitude and things that I'm happy for. Right? You have 364 days or 65, depending on how you count, right, out the year to show gratitude in a numeral amount of ways. But you choose to take this day and do it in a fashion that could be linked to such tragedies. I'm not saying you can show gratitude on this day. You should be grateful every day that you're alive. But to carry out these same traditions of men, know that these traditions have history. And by you participating, you participate in the history. Whether that is promoting or if that is to shame and to put it to shame. All right? To each his own, and do as your conscience tells you to. But know that all things will be judged by the Most High. With that being said, shalom and peace.